Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Jonathan from The New Divide. I'm sitting here with Aaron, our guitarist, and Tyler Clarensau.
Hello.
We are at the Life Point Church in Vancouver, Washington, and at our Jesus Mission headquarters, our little office up here, and we're going to be talking to Tyler about what he does here and talking about his beans that he roasts himself, which is pretty impressive, I have to say. And but first, we're going to start with an icebreaker. Tyler, what is your favorite song off of the new Justin Bieber album?
That's a good question, and I've heard a few of them, but my favorite one is I call it the flute song, and that is it's called "What Do You Mean?" and it has this like rad instrumental section with the flute part, and like the flute's like kind of, I don't even know how to explain it. It's trilly, like it has a lot of trills in there.
Yeah, like Peruvian flute bands. I get it.
Yeah, of course, like Peruvian flute bands.
My favorite kind of band.
Yeah, and so I was in somebody's car, and they were like, "Here, don't look at my phone, but check out this song." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "This is rad. Who is this?" And they're like, "Oh, it's the new Justin Bieber."
And you were like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, and I was like, I need to check on my life choices to see why I just liked that, but I did. It's rad.
I don't know. The flute made me feel weird. It's just kind of like a. Like pop songs are doing that now, where they add just like a random, like Lady Gaga had like a saxophone solo in one of her songs, like a full minute saxophone solo.
That's awesome.
I mean, it sounds great, but whatever.
So real quick, so we're just gonna be doing, like he's kind of said, we're gonna be doing some home roasted beans, and again he'll tell us about them a little bit, but we're just gonna do it on an AeroPress, and we preheated our water. We're preheating our vessel, and I'll start making coffee, and they're going to start diving in to other stuff that's super cool.
Yeah, so Tyler, do you want to talk about the beans first?
Yeah, so I roast my own coffee at home, and I started about like 4 or 5 years ago. I had a buddy get home from Ethiopia and say, "I want to teach you how to make coffee like the Ethiopians do."
Whoa!
So he came over, and we did it we actually did it on my stove for one roast. We did it on a grill outside for another roast, and then he created it like.
Did you say on your grill?
My grill outside.
Wow. And propane or charcoal?
Charcoal. And so they do awesome. in Ethiopia they pretty much do an AeroPress, and then they don't really they don't use this vessel, as you call it. But they pretty much do an AeroPress, but then they don't push the water or push the grounds out. And so you're essentially you're sipping, hoping not to get a bunch of
kind of
beans in your mouth.
French pressing. Yeah.
And so anyway, he showed me that, and I kind of got into it. It kind of became a big hobby of mine. I would do it all the time. Every time I ran out of coffee, I'd do it. I went through. I told you I ruined a popcorn popper. I was trying it, and my house just smelled like a coffee shop all the time, and not like the good coffee shop smell, but like the roasting coffee shop smell. And so, a couple years ago, my wife bought me my own little 1 pound drum roaster, and so it looks like a microwave pretty much. It's pretty rad. Yeah. All these different settings for heat settings and stuff like that. So that's how I do it now. And
How were the first couple batches?
The first couple batches were really really rough. But I think I've gotten it down. It's actually really simple once you kind of figure out. Based on the bean you have, what you're doing. And so, I love it. That's how I make all my coffee at home, is because I don't want to pay $18 for coffee. So I buy it from a store in Portland called Mr. Green Beans, and it's a green coffee store. And
Portland.
Yeah, so I do that, and then I roast it at home, and I drink my own creation.
That's awesome. And always AeroPress?
Usually, yeah. Yeah, so I have 2 little kids at home, and I was doing a V60 before that, and realized that I would, do a pour and then get called away to do something with the kids, and I couldn't.
15 minutes later.
Yeah, 15 minutes later I come back and my coffee's cold, and I have to start over, and I waste a bunch of beans.
Right.
And this does it in just a few minutes, and clean up is easy, and I love it.
Yeah,
it smells good.
So simple.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, and what do you do at the church here?
So I'm the music and arts pastor here at Life Point Church in Vancouver, which is a suburb of Portland. So yeah.
Nice. And work in the office and stuff. And are you the main worship leader?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I am.
Do you want to just talk about some of the struggles of that, and any tips you have for worship leaders?
Yeah, it's interesting because music is such a polarizing thing. Music is so important to people, and every person has a different flavor of what they're into.
Right.
And so when you're working in a church that has a lot of people at it, there's no way that you are going to make everyone happy at all times. And so that's a real a real tension, like how hard do you even try,
Right.
to make people happy, and and what's the point of music in church? And so like you have to answer that question too,
Right.
and like why you're even doing it, and so so that's probably like the most challenging part of the job is balancing not just old versus new, but lyrics people can already worship to, and lyrics that they need to learn, and what are new songs saying, all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
when do you introduce new songs? How many?
Yeah, right. Yeah, how many? How often?
For
and,
sure.
Yeah, and we here at Life Point we really value giving people language that they can use to worship God, and so in valuing that, we do more new songs, and we also take more old songs that people haven't heard in for years and rework them,
redo them,
and as opposed to just the same 6 Tomlin songs every
just
week.
Oceans every week.
Yeah, because it's like people know that, and that's good. They need that aspect. They need to be able to
sure.
glorify God.
But I guess he does say in the
know.
Psalms, singing new songs.
Yeah, Psalm 96 is huge. Yeah,
that's huge.
That's
so
awesome.
At what point in your life, at what age did you kind of become a worship leader? Did you start leading worship or whatever?
Yeah, so I'm a pastor's kid, so I've been in church my whole life. Started playing. I'm a drummer first. Started playing drums in my youth group when I was 12, and started leading at about age 17. And it's interesting because the reason I led wasn't because I felt like I should or because I even really understood what I was doing. It was I'm a guitar player and a singer. That's what guitar players and singers do in church.
Yeah,
and
right.
so so I did that.
Especially
through,
if your dad's the pastor.
Exactly. So I did it through late high school, college, and even in some of my early 20s, looking back, I'm like, man, why did I do this? I didn't really understand what I was doing.
So, well, with what you know now and what you've learned, what would you tell your 17-year-old self? Something that maybe you wouldn't have to learn now through experience that you could just tell yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the big thing is that I would tell myself to relax and to not live and die by the reactions of people.
Oh yeah.
And
that's
so
a big one.
Yeah, I mean, I even see a lot of my buddies who are music pastors in the area, heartbroken because their people aren't responding in the way that they want them to, or in the way that they think should be prescribed by the by the barometer of success that they put on it.
Right.
And so that's huge. And being faithful to the text, to the being faithful to what the Bible says, and in the singing and serving the church well, let those be your barometer as opposed to walking off the stage being like, wow, nobody raised their hands today. Or on the opposite side of the spectrum, going home super pumped up because everybody raised their hands today.
Of course.
Or whatever. So that's what I would tell myself for sure.
That's great.
That's awesome. And something that is a constant struggle in any church-related thing, even with speakers and stuff. So that's really good.
And real quick too, I know you have this church stuff that you're doing. You obviously you roast at home. It's kind of a hobby that you have. But beyond that, I know there's some more stuff that you do. You kind of have some music project stuff. Tell us a little bit about that as well. Kind of what that's doing, what you're doing with that in the future and stuff.
Yeah, so I have a project called Clarensau, which is my last name. And so it's had many different looks over the past few years, and most recently up till now it's been a trio, me and a couple of friends, singing acoustic music, do a lot of coffee shop, a lot of college campus shows, stuff like that. But now that we're getting a little older, have kids and stuff like that, it's taken a new shape, and I'm pumped because March 1st I have a new project coming out, and it's so I've also written books in the past, and as I was telling you guys before we hit record. Some of my favorite things, one of my favorite things in the world to do is write and create stories, but one of my least favorite things to do is to go through the process of writing a book, where it's 12 months of writing, 12 months of editing. By the time it's finally released and you're actually putting it out, you don't care about it at all anymore.
Right.
And so I'm doing this again. I'm writing a book, but as I write it, I'm releasing it in episodes as a podcast.
Oh,
and so I'm doing that, and the character in the story is a songwriter, so as he writes songs, I'm writing songs. It'll be a new record. So, starting March 1st, I'm going to have a new podcast called Trying Not to Be Human, and about a guy whose life's falling apart, who writes songs about it. And, it's his story. So
that sounds relatable.
Yeah, that's pretty much my life.
So, tell us, how do we find that, or how will people be able to find that?
Yeah.
When it does drop? Or?
Yeah, you can go to just any social media site you have /Clarensau, CLARENSAU, which is my last name. It'll be there for sure. Tryingnottobehuman.com is a site that I have is in development right now.
Nice.
It'll be there. It'll be on iTunes, iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever people who don't have an iPhone use for podcasts.
I don't even
it's
know.
on Stitcher. But yeah, it'll be on all those as well.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, there's that sound.
There it is.
We are pressed through here. We kind of got 2 cups made here that he drinks this all the time, so
Yeah, you guys
I don't know
do it.
if he even wants to try it, but we're going to give this a little try.
Even if it's awful, you have to tell me it's really good.
Yeah,
At least when the
sure.
camera's on.
Right.
For lacking the amount that we actually needed, it's actually not bad. That's great. Yeah, so if there's even quick, like a little tip, a home roasting tip, maybe there's a few people that are roasting at home or want to start, like, what's like even a quick little tip of like home roasting?
Just try different things. Like,
Yeah.
I tried 5 or 6 different processes before I got my roaster.
Mhm.
The roaster's a little bit of an investment. It's a few $100s, but it's
Yeah.
so worth it once you
Yeah,
have it.
totally.
Once you have it down, it's super easy. So just keep trying. Once you find it, you'll love it.
Yeah, it probably
Awesome.
helps you appreciate the process a lot more too.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, Tyler, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Yeah, let's
talking
try our
about
coffee.
coffee, talking about
Really good. Like
Yeah.
actually really good.
yeah. No, this is awesome. Cool. Thanks for talking about coffee, your life.
Yeah, thanks for
Good.
having me.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
And we'll keep drinking on.
Is that the tagline of this?
I don't know, but we
Keep
need
drinking
one.
on?
Yeah.
Because I never know how to end it.
Thanks for having coffee with us, your local rock band.
So every single time it just ends super awkward.
Yeah.
And then the music keeps in. Anyway.
Yeah, it's great. Sitting here with